So people always ask me if how do I manage to learn things very quickly, especially languages. This is why in this video, I'm gonna give you all the secrets and tips on how to learn any language that you want very quickly and with the least amount of effort. It's Martha with you here, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I just need to clear my head. Alright, so before going on with the steps, I just want to mention that I speak 3 languages fluently, which are Arabic, French, and English. And I also understand 90% of Hindi and speak 50% of it. So in total, we can say that I sort of manage 70% of Hindi language. I also speak some Turkish and some Korean. But this is not the wow part here. The amazing part of all of this is that the majority of those things that I learned them rather effortlessly. And we both know that this is exactly why you're here. So without further delay, let's go to the steps. So step number 1 is to have the will, is to have the intention to actually learn the language. What's interesting about the word will is that it actually comes with action. So if you're willing to have something, willing to learn something, you'll put the effort to get it. When you say, I want to learn a language, and then you do nothing about it, it just basically means that you don't want it badly enough, or that you just don't want it at all. Maybe you think you want it, but that you don't really want it. Learning a language is basically just like acquiring any sort of skill. If you want to learn how to dance, you have to put the effort, you have to learn the steps. This is exactly the thing with the language. And you might say that I actually feel like I really want to learn the language, but then every time I start, after a while I just stop, which is in fact a very common phenomenon. So to help you actually build this will, I want you to ask yourself this question of, why do I want to learn this language? So let's say, for example, you want to learn English. I want you to ask yourself, why do I want to learn English? So for example, you want to learn English because you want to go to that specific university so you can get that specific job, so that you end up having that specific future that you built yourself in your mind. For you now, English is no longer just a language. For you, English is that university, English is that job, English is that future. So what this does is to associate learning the language, which is English in this scenario, with a greater purpose, which is the job or the future that you built yourself in your head. Alright, so now let's go to step number 2, which is to know your method of learning. Knowing your methods of learning is basically just knowing your strengths and weaknesses and your brain's favorite way to learn new things. Everyone have their own way of learning. Some people are more like visual, some people are more auditory, others are more sort of reading, writing type. But what I found out is that I'm actually someone who learns unconsciously, which means that actually I learn when I don't want to learn, or like when I don't have the conscious thought of learning. The ways I learned English. English is my 3rd language after French and Arabic. I noticed that I actually learned English without even realizing that I learned it, because the way the language entered my life tapped exactly into my method of learning, which was like unconscious and visual somehow. Example, on YouTube, my goal was to learn a makeup tutorial, right? So I would click on a video with the intention of like, I want to learn this makeup tutorial, but then that person is speaking in English. There are subtitles in like Arabic and French, because these are the languages that I spoke at the time. So like now I am there and I'm focused on the subtitles with the intention of learning how to do the makeup tutorial. But now what does my brain does, it says, okay, that's cool, you want to learn, so you're consciously focused on the makeup. This is the perfect timing for me to put those English words into your brain. So now I'm there, I'm learning the makeup consciously, but also my brain is like, okay, I'm putting English into your brain. Now we've come to the 3rd step, which is to surround yourself with the language. It's kind of associated with what I just mentioned with step number 2, which is basically just to make the language part of your life. For example, if you want to learn Spanish, try to implement more like Spanish movies, reggaeton songs, just so that you can hear the language a lot and then you can sort of captivate some words. Also, a great example is the movie example, because this really helped me like personally with English and Hindi and even Turkish and Korean. I feel like the reason that I didn't really get to learn Spanish the way I wanted is because I don't really watch a lot of TV shows, like Spanish TV shows, unless like they're translated, which is kind of not very beneficial. This is a mistake, don't do it. For example, if you're like a French speaking person, this video is a great illustration, because I am intending to put French subtitles to actually see if this is gonna make any changes. Tell me if this like subtitles were like so beneficial for you guys, so that I can see if I want to keep doing them or not, because honestly they take a lot of editing and a lot of time, and if there isn't like any change, I wouldn't necessarily keep them. But this is not the point. The point is that you're hearing me speaking in English, but you're also having the French subtitles. So this is the way you can actually sort of see the word that you know, which is in the French subtitle, but also like hear me saying it in English. So now you actually have the pronunciation, but you can also go and search for the word. Now you gain new words. This is how I mostly learn my languages, through YouTube videos, or TV shows, or movies, or like music. This actually could be an extra step, which is be curious. Like when you hear something in a language that you want to learn, don't just let it pass, don't let it slide. Like I always have this, even if like we're like in a serious something and then I hear a word, I try to write it. If it's like completely new, I don't even know how to write it, I try to write it the way I understood it, the way I heard it, and then I'll just later on Google it. When I started learning English and I noticed that I was actually learning English, the first thing that came to my brain was like to change up my language setting on my phone to English. So now I was like, they're like setting, loggings, there were all these new words that I learned just by changing my language set. Try to surround yourself digitally, physically, as much as you can with the languages. Try to read books with the language if you come to a certain degree where you can actually read. If you can read 50%, I feel like this is the perfect timing for you to start reading. You hear the whole phrase, the whole paragraph, you understand it, but then if you break it word to word, maybe you don't understand every word, and this is perfect. This is where you can Google some of the words so that you can add up more, and then with time you would just realize that you actually understand everything and you can actually read everything. Guys, please support me. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and leave a comment. Just tell me what do you think of the video. And let's go to the final point. Final point, guys, is to find a partner. When I started learning English, I couldn't really find partners because at the time my friends didn't really speak it, although I was like digitally surrounded by the language, but it doesn't feel the same as when you speak with someone, you know, face to face. So what I did was actually I found my lecturers, my English teachers at school, and I befriended them because I knew that I had to speak with someone, see improvements, you know, to learn. You can still do the same thing with digital people. For my English, for example, I have so many Indian friends that I like to talk with, and I often try to push them to like send notes instead of writing, because you know you can write Hindi like using like alphabets, English alphabets, but then it's like this is not what I want. I want to like hear the accent, you know, I want to learn how to pronounce it like in a Hindi way, you know. And I had to look for them, by the way. Like at the beginning, I was the one to be like, who's in my following? I was like, who's in like my connection, my networking that is like Indian. I had a conscious goal of finding friends for myself that spoke Hindi, and luckily I found Indian friends who wanted to learn French. So now they're like, we're like exchanging, so they would teach me Hindi and I would teach them French. Yes guys, I hope this video was beneficial for you guys, and don't forget to ask any questions in the comment section. And if you have any video suggestions, any type of videos you want to see me doing, any type of topics you want to see me talking about, just leave them in the comments. And if you like the video, don't forget to give a like, and don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, thank you very much and have a nice day. Adios.